Hi everyone. So a few days ago, I did a video about a quality of life software called Joy to Key, which you can use in Assetto Corsa or any sim that doesn't allow you to bind more than one wheel at a time. You can use that to use multiple wheels by binding any device to a keyboard key. Um, so that particular software, it's really good, but one little feature that it doesn't seem to have built into the settings is the ability to run on startup. You can start minimized and start it in the tray instead of down here, and set it so that when you close it, it doesn't actually exit the program. It just goes minimizes to here. But there's no way to start it up, and I'm not sure if there's a reason for that or not yet. It may well be that it causes bugs or something with the software. That I'm still yet to truly find out. But anyway, one thing with sim racing is you'll sometimes sit down on the rig and realize until you've sat down that there was something that you wanted to do to set yourself up, and then you have to get up out the rig again. And this is why I added the chord line switch to my SimMagic Alpha DD, was so I could have an on-off button next to the bass. Just those little quality of life things make it so that you don't have to jump up out of your chair. Well, since doing that, I've still noticed myself having to get up every now and then when I realise that I've left the earphones plugged in from the night before, when I don't want to make too much noise. But generally, I like to play with my speakers. And so I then would have to jump up and unplug the headphone jack each time I want to hear it through the speakers. So I actually found a way around a couple of these little tiny issues to add a bit more quality of life to the sim racing experience. So I'll start with the audio function. So I saw somebody asking about this today, actually, in a Facebook group, about if it's possible to switch from headphones to speakers without constantly having to unplug the headphone jack, and it can be done. So what you actually want to do is go into your search in here and type in Realtek Audio Console in the search here, and hopefully, if you're lucky, you'll already have it installed. If you don't, I'll show you mine. Mine is a ASUS Realtek Audio Control panel. It's ASUS branded because I have an ASUS motherboard. But if you've got a Gigabyte motherboard, yours might say Gigabyte up here, or it might say Dell or something like that. If you Google Realtek Audio Control, you'll find a Dell version of it, which may or may not work. But essentially, you just want the control panel. This is the main thing. When you go through the first few settings, you'll find it's really just a GUI for most of the settings that you can already do. But one cool little feature about it under the cog here, Device Advanced Settings, is this little disable front panel jack detection. If you turn that off, what will happen is it won't actually disengage your headphones. The noise will still come through the headphones, but it will just disengage the detection. So your speakers will come on again. So if you've just sat down on the rig and you wanted to listen through your surround system, and that's right, I had it plugged into the headphones, you don't have to get out of your rig. If you've got this, you can just enable this, like turn this to on, and bang, sound will come out of your speakers. So that's quality of life tip one. The second one is adding startup to apps that don't really have startup options. You might jump into a race and realize that you don't have Crew Chief running anymore, and you might think, look, I'm not actually that good at remembering, to turn it on. Or Joy to Key, where you notice that it doesn't have a built-in, run on Windows startup function, like, for example, MSI Afterburner has if you might be using that. So what you want to do is go into your search again and type in run and type in shell startup with the two dot, I think it's semicolon, so shell semicolon startup, and then hit OK. And that'll bring up this folder here, a startup folder. And then what you want to do is create a shortcut or a copy of an already existing shortcut and bring it into, like, paste it into this folder. So Joy2Key, I just literally clicked on this copy and then just pasted it in here, whereas Crew Chief actually had to dig around a little bit for it, but you will find it if you look for it. You know, if you just simply type in Crew Chief, it'll bring up this app, and then you can go open file location, and then you'll see the shortcut at the bottom. So that's how you can find that one. And then what that'll do is that'll actually bring up your task manager, which brings me into quality of life feature number 3, and the last and least of this video, really, because most of you will know about it, but some of you might not. Some people still, believe it or not, are going Control Alt Delete and then going like this to get their task manager up, which, you know, it's fine, but it's an extra step. If you've got a mouse handy and not a keyboard handy at your rig, then see, because that function there requires both the use of your mouse and your keyboard, basically. That's the only issue with it, really, and for a lot of people that isn't an issue, but on a sim rig it might be. So if you only have quick access to a mouse, the best way to do it is to hit the Windows key or Alt Tab out to here, so that you're looking at your desktop from the main application. Right click on here, and you've got Task Manager right there. So you just literally right click on your taskbar and then left click on that, and that'll open up Task Manager. Another way to do it, if you've got access to a keyboard rather than a mouse, is to press Control, Left, Shift, and Escape. So that's all on the left side of the keyboard. So you just press that, and that's another way to open up Task Manager. So there are two different ways that you can quickly open up Task Manager. If your sim crashes and the only way to get out of the like that semi-frozen state is to literally right-click on the Assetto Corsa task and exit. If that's your only option, then this is two alternative ways to open up Task Manager. Right-click and then click End Task to end the task. So that's quality of life feature number 3. While I'm in here, I will quickly show you something that so back to quality of life feature number 2, the shortcut folder. Once you add the shortcuts into that shortcut folder for programs that you wanted to start up, you'll notice that they now appear in this startup section of Task Manager, whereas they didn't before. And then from there, you can right-click and enable them. If you don't right-click and enable the files, enable it in here, it won't actually run. And I probably should have said that before I went into step number 3, because, you know, there's chances that people are going to click off the video. But yeah, make sure that you do that. That's very important, that you come in here and actually enable it, because adding it to the folder won't make it a startup, won't make it run on startup on its own. What it will do, though, is add it to the list of startup apps, at least, so you can do it in here as well. So, but either way, you need to make sure you enable it. So yeah, that leaves it at the 3. That's the 3 tips I believe I had. I don't think there was anything else. I'll leave it at that. Happy sim racing, everybody, and I managed to get this one in under 10 minutes. So how's that? All right, see you on the track.